With the recent proliferation of budget 2011s hitting the market, I thought it'd be a good time to revisit the original budget 2011, the Springfield Prodigy. I've had this thing for a couple years now. I've had a couple thousand rounds through it. Let's see how it goes. Yes, I love this gun. Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical, the Springfield Prodigy. There has been a major proliferation of budget 2011s coming out recently, and so I thought it was a good time to revisit the Springfield Prodigy, like I said at the beginning, the original budget 2011, and decide, is it any good? Or is this gun complete trash like a lot of people like to say? Well, I've put over 2,000 rounds through this gun now, and so I have a pretty good feeling of how it performs and whether it's a quality gun or not. And I'll be the first to admit that I know that it had a very rocky start. When this gun first came out, a lot of people got them and a lot of people had problems with them. But as far as I know, Springfield has fixed those problems. Is it a good gun now? How has my 4¼ inch Prodigy performed? We'll go over all of that in this video. Make sure you're subscribed, and let's begin. So the Springfield Prodigy always makes me feel very confident. So you step it back to a little bit greater distance. When the Springfield Prodigy was first announced, I was very, very excited. I had wanted to get a 2011 for a long time, but 2011s are expensive guns. This one is considered a budget 2011, and it comes in at around $1,300, totally stock. That's not budget compared to something like a Glock or an M&P or a SIG. That's an expensive gun. But in the world of 2011s, that's a budget gun. A Staccato P is going to be about $1,000 more if you get the model that's cut for a red dot. So technically this is a budget 2011. And so that made me very excited. And then I started seeing all the problems that people were having with them, and that made me a little worried. So I waited. I waited about a year before I got my Prodigy. I waited until I figured that Springfield had worked out the kinks with the gun, and then I did my best to find a 4¼ inch. I got one. How has it performed since then? Well, I documented the first 1,300 rounds that I put through this gun. The first 1,000 rounds, bone stock. I mean, I put a red dot and a light on it right away because of course. But besides that, stock internals. And I had one stovepipe during that first, in the first 300 rounds or something. And then after that, no issues. Now, I'm not going to discount one bit that other people did have issues with their Prodigies. I've seen them on videos and stuff. But I also wonder, a lot of people on YouTube are like, I ran this straight out of the box, didn't lube it, didn't clean it, nothing. Well, that's not what you do with a 1911. You might be able to pull a Glock out of the box and run it with no lube, dirty, whatever for 1,000 rounds. That's what that platform is known for. A 1911 is different. And honestly, when I get any gun, whether it's an AK, an AR, a Glock, or a 1911, the first thing I do is I field strip it, I clean it really well, and then I lube it before the first time that I take it out to the range. I want to take a quick minute to talk about this video's sponsor, which is Aura. And the reason why is because it's a product that I actually do believe in. Now that I've been using it for a little while, it's actually improved my life. I get a lot less spam calls than I used to get, which is kind of huge. I use my phone for work, And so I have to answer numbers that I don't recognize. And it's nice to not be getting those spam calls all the time anymore. The other thing is I had my bank account hacked 3 times last year, and I had to get new debit cards at least twice. And then I had to, get all of my bills that were automatically paid fixed and switched over to the new cards. Huge hassle. And Aura takes care of all that stuff so you don't end up having to deal with those kinds of problems anymore. They scour the internet and they find wherever your information is being sold to scammers and spammers and anybody else that wants to use your information to sell your information, and they submit opt-out requests on your behalf, which helps get rid of all that stuff so you don't have to deal with that anymore. And ever since I've been using it, I actually have noticed a big difference. And in fact, I get alerts from Aura when they find where my information has been leaked, and then they fix that for me. And that's been huge. And they do a lot of other things too. They have VPN, password management, parental controls, all kinds of stuff, and you get it at a very low price, a lot less than you would pay if you bought all of those things individually. And it helps the channel. With YouTube demonetizing pretty much all of my videos now, if you sign up for Aura, it helps me grow the channel, and that is greatly appreciated. So please check out Aura. Get 2 weeks for free if you use my link, aura.com/sawtooth-tactical. I'd really appreciate it. I respect my privacy, and I respect yours. A lot of people talk about taking these Prodigies the first time and racking them 1,000 times and all this stuff because the Cerakote was on too thick, and that's what gave people some of the reliability issues. Well, I didn't do any of that. I did what I do with any gun. Like I said, I cleaned it, I lubed it, and I took it to the range. And I've continued to keep it clean and lubed, and I've had really, really good performance out of it. Now, the funny thing is the whole point of this video today was to talk about how reliable this gun has been. And in over 2,000 rounds, I only ever had that one stovepipe until today. Of course, I did have one failure to eject, and you will see that in the range footage. Came back to about 10 yards, see if we could speed it up a little bit. Besides the 2 failures in over 2,000 rounds, this thing has been perfectly reliable. And I have done some things to it. So after that first 1,000 rounds, getting to know it, getting to know how it shot and how it returned to 0 after every round fired, better than any other handgun that I'd ever owned, I was really excited about it, and I wanted to make it even better. So I sent it off to Skip's Guns. I had the full EGW ignition kit put in, lightened hammer, all of that, Atlas flat face trigger, tuned to 2.4 pounds, an 8-pound recoil spring with a buffer in it, and he also did a little cut in the bottom of the slide so that it can't get hung up on the disconnector, which seemed to be another issue that people had with it. And in fact, this Springfield Ronin 1911, that's the only issue I ever had with it, although with some polishing, I was able to remedy that issue. This, though, now feels as smooth as a 2011 should feel. And that's after putting another 100 rounds through it today, and I haven't cleaned it or lubed it since. But man, it's like they say with 2011s, that the slide feels like it's on ball bearings. Well, this gun does feel that way. And I've noticed with a lot of the videos coming out about some of these other budget 2011s coming out, Gearsaw, TSOS, Live Free Armory, that a lot of people are kind of not very happy with the quality of them. Well, through experience, I can tell you that the quality of this gun is very good. Now, these Prodigies do come with MIM, or metal injection molded internal parts. Well, that a lot of guns do. So do Glocks. You know what I mean? And yes, those parts don't cost as much to manufacture as machining billet steel parts. And so that's where they're able to save on the cost to get you a 2011 at this price point. But it's got a forged steel slide, frame, barrel, and those are the parts that really matter. And if you really want to, you can put in the EGW kit like I did. And now I don't have any metal injection molded parts in this gun anymore. And it still costs less than a Staccato. We are way back here now. Let's see if we can make any hits. This is why I love the 2011 platform, the Springfield Prodigy. So besides the reliability, how does this gun shoot? Well, this gun makes me feel extremely confident in my abilities. And again, I'll be the first to admit, I am not the best shooter in the world. I'm like a hobbyist shooter. I do go out shooting all the time, like every weekend of the year. But I'm just a guy that likes to shoot. I'm not any kind of crazy tactical guy. I just like to shoot. And a lot of the times if I go out with, say this gun, I can shoot it fine, but I do have misses. With this gun, if I'm doing my part, it's like hard to miss. And that's from up close going fast or from stretching it out to greater distances. I took it out to 50 yards today and mostly got hits on it. And from up close, shooting it at a pretty fast speed, it was like almost all hits. And that's the thing with this gun. Every time I pull the trigger, the dot comes right back down onto target. And so all you have to do is time it to where as soon as the dot comes back onto the target, you squeeze the trigger again, and you're pretty much going to hit the target every single time. And when you're going from farther back, as long as I do my part, like I said, prep the trigger, that 2.4 pound brake, and very light and crisp, makes it really hard to pull your shot off target. So as long as your dot is on the target, and again, if you do your part and pull the trigger straight to the rear through that very light, crisp brake, you're gonna hit your target. Now, this isn't the same trigger that comes in the Prodigy. It had a 4.4 pound trigger when I got it, but still very crisp and, short take up. It was a 1911 trigger. And I was very capable with that trigger too. This just makes it that much better. And that's the thing about the Prodigy, is if you're someone like me and you like to tinker and you like to upgrade and customize your guns, well, the Prodigy is a perfect platform for doing that because the main parts of it are very high quality. The slide to frame fit is really good. Barrel lockup is tight. It's got great bones, and for a little bit extra money, a few $100, now it has better internal parts in it than a Staccato does, but it still costs less than a Staccato. And I'm not saying that this is better than a Staccato. I'm sure it's not, but I got a really, really great gun for less than the price of a Staccato. And I think that if you do want to get into a 2011, instead of getting one of these new ones that's less than $1,000 that you're almost guaranteed to have problems with, get the original budget 2011. Springfield has seemed to fix the problems. I think you're going to have a very reliable, very accurate gun that really makes you feel like a better shooter than you might really be. That's the way it makes me feel. We'll finish it up back here at 10 yards again. Obviously, I really, really like the Prodigy. In fact, I love the Prodigy. Every time I go shoot it, when I'm done, I wish I brought more ammo to the range with me because it's just very, very satisfying to shoot. It makes me feel really good about my abilities. I feel like I can shoot it from farther away than any other handgun that I own. I can shoot it faster up close than I can any other handgun that I own. And besides that, I love 1911s. I've always loved 1911s. I love the way they look. I love, again, that they make me feel confident. I think the ergonomics are really good. The grip angle is just right. The way the slide and barrel lock up, they're very accurate. They're just very easy guns to shoot. And this is a 1911, but with modern features. 20 round magazine capacity. You can even get 26 round magazines for it. And the magazines work great. I've had no reliability issues with the magazines one bit. You can mount a red dot on it, a light on it, all the modern features that you want. Mine runs hollow point ammo just fine. So it does everything that a modern handgun does, that you want a modern handgun to do, but it also does everything that a 1911 does. And so it's kind of the best of both worlds. Now, the Prodigy, I've left the grip texture this exactly how it was out of the box because this grip texture works very well for me. It's got a nice undercut, double undercut, in fact, under the trigger guard. And this grip texture doesn't feel super aggressive until you grab it tight. And then it's just really easy to keep this gun on target and to keep a good grip on it. I never feel like I need to adjust my grip. It is, being a 1911, you can't really reach your, slide release with your thumb like you can on a Glock or something. So when I go to release it, I use my support side thumb. Not going to do that to my 2011, but without a round in it. But, so there are those little bit of quirks. You need to understand that you're going to have to run the safeties on it. It has both a grip safety, although I've never had a problem actuating that. And it has an ambidextrous thumb safety. But that's also one of the benefits of a 1911, in my opinion, is you can kind of use that as a gas pedal. You put your thumb on that, and it helps you to manage recoil, which is very nice. It's just got really, really good ergonomics, in my opinion. It shoots extremely soft. It's so easy to control the recoil on this thing. The dot never leaves the window in my optic when I'm shooting. It just kind of bounces up and down on the target. And that instills a huge amount of confidence. Now, I want to know what you guys think about the Prodigy. And I want to hear from people that have Prodigies or other 2011s, but a lot of people that want to talk shit about the Prodigy, I think, are in one of two groups. Yeah, maybe one of three groups. I'm sure some of them are people that got the early ones that had problems, and their gripes are totally justified. But then the other two groups are people either that don't have a Prodigy and just like to parrot what they've seen on the internet and talk shit about something that they don't fully understand. And then there's the people that probably bought these and thought that they could run it like a Glock, not lubricate it, not clean it, not take care of it. And when they start having malfunctions, they think that the gun's a piece of junk, when it really comes down to not maintaining your gun properly. This is, in fact, a 1911, and it does need to be taken care of to a much greater extent than something like a Glock or an M&P or any striker-fired polymer pistol. That's just the reality. If you're going to get into one of these guns, you're going to have to take care of it. My dad used to own a Ferrari back in the day, and it's a Ferrari. But the thing was constantly in the shop getting worked on because he didn't know how to maintain it correctly himself. And he tried to drive it like you would drive an F-150, driving it around town. Well, the Ferrari is meant to get out on the freeway and go fast. And it has to be maintained as such, like a race car. Well, a 2011 is the same way as far as guns go. You don't use it like a Honda Civic like you do with a Glock or something. You have to treat it like that Ferrari. You have to take proper care of it, and then it'll go fast and do what you want it to do what a 2011 should do. I absolutely love the Prodigy. It's my favorite pistol that I own. I honestly love this gun. And I hadn't made a video about it for a while because after I got through the first 1,000 rounds, after I did the upgrades on it, did a couple more videos and just never really had any problems with it, I didn't feel like I had much left to say about it. But I've been seeing all these budget 2011s coming out, people having problems with them, and people still saying bad things about the Prodigy that I think just don't know any better. If you are looking to get into a budget 2011, I believe that this is the way to go. I think Springfield did an amazing job with this pistol. Yes, They had some growing pains when it first came out, but I think that they have fixed those issues and that you are really getting a very quality pistol for your money if you get into a Prodigy at this point. So please let me know what you think in the comments about this. I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with me because of this stigma that they think about Springfield in general, and I get that. But you know what? I'm not getting this for the company's politics or anything that's happened in the past. I got it to have a gun that I really just love to shoot and that I trust and that I feel confident and shoot well. And it is all of those things. So I want to know what you guys think about the Prodigy at this point. It's been out for a couple years now. And tell me if you like it, if you own one, and what you think about it. Or if you've had tons of problems, I want to know that experience as well. Maybe I just got lucky and got a good one because I've had a fantastic experience with this gun. And anyway, if you do want to support the channel, sign up for the first link in the description. That is for Aura. It's online fraud monitoring. It has stopped me from getting spam calls anymore, which I love. And you get 2 weeks free with my link. And after that, it's only $12 a month if you decide to stick with it. If you don't, it's up to you. Otherwise, the best thing you can do for the channel is to subscribe, like, leave those comments. All those things help the algorithm. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.